Welcome to the Checkpoint course on threat prevention. So, as our first step in configuring threat prevention, the first thing that we're going to do would be to configure application and URL filtering. This is useful so that we can stop members of staff from visiting malicious websites. Because if you stop them from visiting malicious websites, in a way, you're mitigating threat. So to do this, we'll double click on the firewall. So Checkpoint Firewall has this feature called HTTPS inspection. Okay, we're going to be inspecting all encrypted traffic. The assumption out there is that if you're visiting a website that has HTTPS, that you're safe from malware attacks. But that is wrong. A threat actor out there can hide malware in encrypted traffic. So Checkpoint needs to decrypt all traffic to inspect it. And if the traffic is safe, if there is no malware, no hidden malware, then Checkpoint can re-encrypt the traffic and then permit it to go. But not all to come in. Same thing applies with when users are trying to access URLs. Okay, so what we can do will be to check this box that says HTTPS inspection. So we need to create a certificate. Why? Because if you don't create the certificate, then the web browser is going to warn users that there is a suspected man-in-the-middle attack. Remember that Checkpoint is going to be performing Checkpoint is going to be a man in the middle. So when users are trying to visit maybe Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, their traffic is going to be passing through the Checkpoint firewall, which is true. But then while that traffic is passing through the Checkpoint firewall, Checkpoint is going to perform something called MITM, man in the middle. So Checkpoint is going to intercept that traffic, decrypt the traffic, inspect the traffic, re-encrypt that traffic, and then send it out. So it's going to look as if, okay, you're trying to visit Facebook, Checkpoint intercepts your traffic, does all the inspection, and then Checkpoint needs to create, to send that traffic out again. So you just need to create like an outbound CA certificate. So we'll click on create. Then we can say maybe example.com or any other name. For the private key password, we can put anything. Okay, we're going to put another, so we're going to verify this and then we'll click on OK. Okay, so this is going to generate the certificate. Now, after the certificate has been generated, the next thing that we're going to do would be to export that certificate. So we'll just click on export. We can call this example. Okay, so we can call this example and then we'll click on save and then we're going to enable HTTPS inspection. Now, after enabling HTTPS inspection, the very next thing would be to create application control policies. But before then, let's enable application control and URL filtering. Okay, so this application control can be used in preventing certain types of applications from getting access to the network. So you can say that, okay, you do not want some specific applications to access the internet. So we're going to check this box. Next, we're going to check this box that says URL filtering. So with this, we can block access to Facebook, to Twitter, to Instagram, or other social media pages, maybe during work hours. Or we could even block access to illegal websites, hacking websites, pornographic websites, malicious websites. So we're going to check URL filtering. Then we'll click on OK. Next, we're going to create the security policy. If you notice, we have the normal firewall policy, access control policy, and all it does is, okay, permit traffic from a source to a destination or deny traffic from a source to a destination. It does not inspect the traffic. It just looks at the IP addresses. Oh, are you permitted? Okay, is this traffic permitted from this source to this destination? Or is it traffic not permitted? That is all it does. So what we're going to do would be to create a policy layer for application control and URL filtering. So to do that, we'll right click on policy. You can see edit policy. So we're going to edit the policy. Now, when we click on edit policy, we'll scroll down to where we have access control. At the moment, we have just the firewall blade, which I explained recently. So the next thing that we're going to do would be to click on the plus symbol, and then we're going to click on new layer. So this new layer, we can call it application. So I'm going to shorten application control as app, and then we can call this URL filtering. Okay, so for the participating blades, we are going to check applications and URL filtering. Then we'll come down to where we have advanced. Our implicit cleanup action would be accept. Okay, so all traffic is going to be accepted. But then if we want to restrict certain types of traffic, then we're going to place the policy on top of this cleanup rule. So we'll click on OK, and then we're going to click on OK. So if you notice, you would see application and URL filtering. Let's just give this some time. Okay, so you can see application and URL filtering. Now, do not mix this up. For your firewall blade, that is the network policy layer, the default cleanup rule is drop, as you can see. But for application and URL filtering, your default cleanup rule is going to be accept. Okay, so your implicit cleanup rule will be accept, and then your explicit cleanup rule would be accept as well. So what we're going to do next would be to create a policy. As an example, we can say no social media. Then for the source, we can say, okay, maybe for anybody, okay, no social media. For destination, we can put all internet. So nobody is permitted to, visit social media websites. Services and application. So for services and application, what we are going to do, we'll search for social networking. So we're going to search for social networking. Now, this social networking category covers Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and many more. Then the action is going to be drop. But not just drop. We want users to be notified that, oh, access to social media has been dropped or is not permitted according to the company's policy. So we're going to check this box, and then we'll come to drop. We'll select the blocked message access control. So this is like a user check message. Then for the tracking, we're going to log this. and then we're going to be installing on policy targets. If you want to change the user check message, you can come down here so you can customize this. When you click on user check, you can see for blocked message access control. So users are going to see something like this telling them that your access, okay, the access to maybe YouTube has been blocked according to the organization's security policy. If you want, you can customize this. You can put your company's logo, your company's name, and many more. You can create a new, user check message as an example. You can configure this using HTML. You can put your logo, like I said, you can put pictures. You can even choose the language that you want. Okay, you can give this a name. You can put your HTML code down here. You can select your logo as well, your company's logo. You can choose the language that's going to be shown in, like the default language. Okay, and if you want to redirect users to a particular portal, you can check this box. Okay, you can also, just like I said, you can select the language if you want French, Spanish, Japanese. Okay, so we're going to leave this in English. Okay, so back to application and URL filtering. Now, this is just for social media, but then the goal of this course is to block access to malicious sites. Okay, so let's also block malicious sites. Now, another thing, we're going to block anonymizers. Okay, anonymizers refer to things like, VPN and the rest of them. So we don't want anybody, okay, so we actually do not want anybody to use, VPN in the network. So we're going to come here and then we're going to search for anonymizers. Now, if you search for anonymizer, let's see. So we're going to check anonymizer. Okay, so we're blocking anonymizer usage. That is VPN and the rest of them. Okay, so aside anonymizers, we're going to block access to malicious websites. So let's say no malicious. So we're going to give this a name. We'll say no malicious sites. The source again is going to be any, or if we want, we can specify the LAN. Okay, we can call this maybe the HQ LAN. So we'll just, create a network and then we'll call this as an example HQ LAN. Then this is going to be 192.168.20.0. It's going to be natted. Okay, so let's nat this. And then we're going to put 255.255.255.0. We'll click on OK. Okay, so instead of using any, we could just specify the exact, subnets that we're trying to block. So this is going to be all internet. Then this would be malicious websites. So we'll just search for the keyword malicious. Okay, so we want to block access to spyware and malicious sites. Okay, we also want to log everything. So we want logs. In fact, we want logs for every single thing, okay, whether accepted or not. So aside malicious sites, let's block access to illegal websites. So we'll say no illegal websites, no illegal sites. Okay, this is going to be HQ, all internet. Then under services and application, we'll search for the keyword illegal. Okay, so illegal and questionable sites will be blocked. Okay, we do not want people getting software cracks and all those illegal license key generators. So we could check this. Then we could also say, okay, no high risks. So we'll say no high risks. This again is going to be HQLAN. This is going to be all internet. Then we'll search for high risks. That is websites that have the reputation of containing very high risks. So we'll check this. We're going to drop this. Okay, we want to log this. We can minimize this, okay? It's fine. So another thing that we're going to do, we're going to say no, we're going to say no hacking or no hacking sites. No hacking sites. That is websites that participate in hacking. So we're going to search for hacking. Okay, so we'll search for hacking, we'll search for phishing. We'll also search for remote administration, that is RAT, remote administration tools. Okay, so we're going to block access to all of these. Then we're going to log this. So having done this, we can then install our policy. So after installing policy, we're going to run a test again to see what has been done. Remember, for your threat prevention, the threat prevention blades are IPS, antivirus, antibots, threat emulation, and threat extraction. But then, in addition to those, it's also very important that you configure things like application control, URL filtering, content awareness, data loss prevention, anti-spam, and email security as well. Now, while this is installing, another important thing, you need to update your application and URL filtering database. So to do this, you can scroll down to where you have updates. Okay, it's actually very important to get updates for application and URL filtering. So you can choose to schedule your updates for every 2 hours. Okay, or you can update now if you want. So we'll just click on, management updates. So we want to get updates for this as well, so that we can have the latest malware signature database and many more. The same thing we're going to do for threat prevention as well. Like when we're configuring threat prevention, we're also going to update the IPS database and many more. Okay, so if you observe, our policy installation is still taking place. We'll just wait for this to get completed. For application and URL filtering database, this might take some time to get updated. Okay, it says the application update failed. Let's see why the application's update failed. Okay, it's saying that, okay, there's no internet connectivity. We're going to take a look at this. But in the meantime, our policy has been installed. As you can see, policy installation succeeded. So we're going to run a test. Now observe something. If you try to visit social media websites, as an example, let's say you want to visit facebook.com, you're going to see a warning telling you that your traffic is being inspected. So if you observe, it's saying that our connection is not private. Now, this is because, just like we earlier explained, the firewall is performing something called man in the middle attack. So the firewall is in the middle of the traffic, it's intercepting all traffic, and the browser does not trust it. So what we can do, two options. One, we could click on advanced. Okay, and when we click on advanced, okay, so it's telling us that we cannot even proceed further. So what we need to do would be to install the CA certificates, the outbound CA certificates. If you remember, we actually created a certificate for HTTPS inspection. Okay, we created one certificate. So we're going to be importing this certificate now. So in your network, you would need to install the certificate on all computers in that network. So if we come to download, let's look for it. Let's check our documents. Okay, this is it. So all we need to do is double click on the certificate. We'll click on install certificates. We can choose to install for the current user. We're going to place this in the Trusted Root Certification Authority store. We'll click on next. We'll click on finish. Okay, so we've imported that certificate. Another thing that we can do will be to come to settings, and then when you go to settings, you scroll down to where you have security. Okay, so we can come to privacy and security. We can scroll down to where we have security. Then we're going to scroll down to where we have certificates. Okay, so we can click on any of these. We can click on import. We can click on next. We're going to search for that certificate in our documents folder. We'll click on open. We'll click on next. We can choose to place this in the Trusted Root Certification Authority store. We'll click on import. Okay, so now having done this, then we're going to close our browser. Then we're going to open the browser once again, and then we're going to visit facebook.com. Oh, okay, let's see. Okay, as you can see, access to Facebook has been blocked because we created an application and URL filtering policy blocking access to social networking. Okay, so we created a policy that blocks social networking. And if we check our logs, we would see that traffic. So furthermore, we can try visiting, high risk websites. We could say, okay, fine, we want to visit, say maybe Instagram.com. Okay, social media website. Let's say we want to visit Instagram. Okay, this is going to be blocked. Let's say we want to visit, let's say we want to visit even checkpoints, CP check me website. So let's say checkpoint CP check me. Let's see. Okay, let's wait for this to come up. So as you can see, even checkpoints CP check me website has been blocked. Why? Because it belongs to the high risk category. So this is how you configure, application control and URL filtering to prevent members of staff from visiting high risk websites, malicious websites, and many more. So with this, we've come to the end of this particular module. I'll meet you in the next one. Thank you.